G'day, legends. Welcome to the Thursday Sesh on Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me are Willie and Jared. How bloody good is life, Willie?
Oh, it's pretty good, mate. It's pretty good at the moment. 5-star.
100%. And how is it, Jared? How's it going?
Life sucks, but Celtic's great.
Hey. Oh, I don't know how to respond to that. So I'll just show my Maui card again, and we'll get on with it. Shane got confused by that on Monday, everyone. That's why I did it again, just for him in the comments if he's watching. So
What card was that?
it's Maui from Moana. Look.
Kira Koto fan.
Churtus. There you go.
Fish and chops. That is
completely wrong. That's not a gender wearer, that one. Anyway, we'll get on with it. So, yeah, this morning for us, last night for everyone over in Scotland. What a performance by Celtic. I think what I read somewhere was it was our highest goal scoring thing in the Champions League. The highest ever was 4-3 win when we had like Larson and Sutton and all them playing, and five goal scorers. And an absolute belter from them at the other end. So, yeah, it was just a quality match all around. So we'll start off with the pre-match atmosphere, Jared. So what was your thoughts looking at all the pre-match atmosphere and then, everything like that? Like I saw the video of the players walking out and you see Engels just looking around and smiling, and then they go the camera scanning across, and then like Bratislava's number 10s is like looks like easiest way to sum up a kid who's seen his first set of tits. He's just like looking around, like, massive grin, completely shock and awed. And then, you scroll down and Kasper Schmeichel's just like looking around, soaking it in. And yeah, what was your thoughts on the pre-match atmosphere?
I missed it live, but I then found a video, and I think I watched it about 4 or 5 times, just back and forth. Just like it's amazing just watching the Celtic team line up just with that song in the background. Like it like just them just lining up with that song just makes you emotional. And then when you just see Kasper Schmeichel with a big smile on his face, it's like you feel like proud that he's happy to be here and part of like your team. It's like because he I don't know if people know this, but he's a bit of a big deal. And so to see him as happy as he is, like to be there on that night to play for like your team, and he's like, you can say he's all in. Yeah, like I don't know. For me, like even though I didn't watch it live, just watching the replay over and over again, I thought it was quite emotional.
The thing for me, what you touch on about Kasper is it's like he's played at the top level for years. He's been at Man City as a youth player. Then he's come through. He's been at Leicester for years. He's won the Premier League. He's played Champions League, but they're a smaller club compared to us. And then you get him on a night like this. Everyone hears about the atmosphere at Celtic Park on a Champions League night. And when they play in the Champions League theme song and our crowd drowns it out with just pure emotion and a massive roar, it can't help but give you goosebumps. Like, I was seeing online, there's people there commenting saying, like a couple of hours ago, they were commenting saying, I have no voice from last night and it's totally worth it. I don't know how I'm going to go at work today. Well done. That's all I have to say. Well done. So, yeah, Willie, what was your thoughts on all that?
It's just sensational to watch. Like, it's good to see that, like, even though that they're the heroes on the pitch, they're still human beings at the end of the day, and see that they're as in awe of the atmosphere as we are. It's just, it's touching. I just loved it, like, you know what I mean? Just watching them all smiling, getting ready to go out there. And you could see it on the players of the Slovan players. They were just like, wow. Some of them were just like rabbits in the headlights, just like, oh, what's going on here? Like, you know what I mean? They're used to playing in front of, what, 20, 30,000, half the size of Celtic Park, and then you get double the noise hitting them like a wall. And you see the wee football flag in the background waving up and down in the centre circle. It's just, you know, it's a big occasion when that's happening and that music's playing and the music's going silent and you hear the fans roaring. So, yeah, it's an amazing occasion, man.
Well, you just said something there, Willie, which was the next thing I wanted to do as well, which was talking about not just pre-game, but the Slovan players, and they're looking at it and some of them you're saying they look intimidated or in awe. And for me, that was something that I thought was also a big thing, and it came through the. Normally, when you're watching a game on TV, right over this side of the world, over here in Australia, you don't get the atmosphere from the crowd. Like you're watching Celtic against a St Johnstone, for instance, and we've got two bays of the stadium, or us at St Mirren, same deal. Yes, our crowd is loud, but you don't. But then there's a lot of empty seats, so you don't get that atmosphere. And it's something we were talking about last Thursday about the ticket allocation that St Johnstone's done. This game, that atmosphere, it comes through the TV. We're on the other side of the world. It was 5 a.m. kickoff here from where I am in Melbourne. So I'm up at 4:45 in the morning to watch the game. And then once the game's over, straight get ready for work and head in. Right. So I was buzzing all day. Right. I've been running on, I feel like the equivalent, I could have drunk like 4 Red Bulls. I was just buzzing, like I was at hyped after that game. But the atmosphere, it comes through, and it just is like, I have to get over there and do that at least once in my life. It'll be totally worth the long flight. So, yeah, it's just one of them, like the intimidation factor there, Willie. Like I look at it and go, how do these blokes, as you're saying, they normally play in front of 20,000 at a home game, deal with that? Like there was guys that were shitting bricks.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I showed it to my apprentice today, and I was just like, listen to this. And I explained to him, says, there's nowhere in the world you'll experience a noise like this. Celtic, a Champions League night, it's one of the greatest atmospheres in it. Like, it's just nothing like it. And I stand by that. And I just hope you get to experience that one day, Jared, because it's one of that sort of bucket list items for someone from Australia or this side of the world. You really need to go and experience it. But to try and play in that and listen to that noise that's going against you, they all say it's just noise and you just try and block it out. But there's times when you just can't. I mean, who's it? The former Man United keeper Ben Foster says you can just feel Celtic fans willing the ball into the net and suck it in or blow it into the net. It's just that you can just feel it around you. And yeah, it must be extremely difficult for these guys to play in.
Yep. And Jared,
but like it's an experience for them. I mean, yeah, they lost, but you look at some of them, like the faces just before the game, like they're going to take that experience like for the rest of their lives, no matter what the score was. And like you hear how many big players do you hear talking about the experience at Celtic Park, and it was one of the best plays they've ever played at, and like these guys got to experience it as well.
Well, the guys at Bratislava, they get a pretty good run this time around. So they come to Paradise. They still have to play Man City, Bayern Munich, AC Milan, and Atletico Madrid as well. So that's a pretty good list there. They're going to get absolutely pumped. Let's be honest. But that's a
they should do all right. Like they played us, and now there's a drop down in level to Man City, who we beat in pre-season. So they should do a little bit better against Man City.
That's what you think.
They could do us a favour and beat Bayern, give us a chance of topping this league.
I love Brendan's comments post-match where he's like, "Yep, let's just call it now. We'll play Bayern in the final." Except you wouldn't want to do that because where's the final? In Munich. Don't worry, I already looked it up because of some of the jokes that I wasn't wanting to make with a couple other mates. So I was like, "Yep, finals in Munich. Let's get on bookings.com or whatever it is and book a hotel room already." Yeah. So got some comments here. Manager's son not happy to be back at Paradise. Yeah, well, we gave it 2 more games, so it was great. RL77's asking, is Willie drinking a pint of Hunteers? He's in rehab for it, aren't you?
I am. I've kind of eased off and all that now. It's more Celtic podcasts I'm listening to again.
Robert Gibson. Palmer played a blinder. He should stay on the bench, preferably a park bench. And then he goes, I actually got out from behind the couch when we got to 5-1. When it was 4-1, I'm like, that's what I called on Monday. How good is this? I got the goal scorers wrong, but I'm actually in the ballpark. I said that as a joke. So it was good fun. But RL77 saying 5 a.m. start leaves you frazzled the rest of the day. Yeah, but it's worth it. So the usual talk we always do when we're going through games is we talk about the starting lineups. which was pretty straightforward. It was kind of to be expected. Where do I have it? I had it on my phone and I've just shut it down. Brilliant. So, yeah, there wasn't really anything out of the ordinary. So you had Schmeichel in goals, Johnson at right back, Taylor at left back, CCV and Scales at centre back. Kalmack was Engels and Hatade, so it was the same as on the weekend. Then up front, Kyogo with Kun and Maeda on the wings. So great lineup. The thing that impressed me is our bench would be good enough to win the Scottish League.
Like Palmer.
Yeah, and Sinisalo and everyone else. So when you go through the whole actual squad the way I did, which is what I shut down accidentally, so I'm just getting it back up on my phone here. So I'm just padding a little bit here, everyone. Sorry about that. But when you looked at the lineup and then you get to the bench and you go, Trusty, Ida, Bernardo, Forrest, and Ralston come on, and then you still got Palmer, Valer, Sinisalo, Yang, McGowan, Naroski, and Welsh. That team's good enough to come second or even win the Scottish League. So, yeah, it's good to have options. But for me, I was just looking at that for their starting lineup going, okay, let's see how we take what we did on the weekend and the form we've been in and put it into the Europe. And yeah, it was just great. So, Willie, I'll throw to you for just a general chat about the first half. And yeah, then we'll just roll through it from there, talking about the goals. So, over to you, Willie.
Yeah, the first half, I thought that the first 10 minutes was a sort of itchy peachy. We both had a go at each other, and then we just sort of took control of the game. We just forced them to turn over possession every time they got the ball. And yeah, we just took them apart. We just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, pressing them down in their own half, and like I say, forcing that possession turnover from them. I thought Engels and Hatate were just phenomenal. They were attacking that sort of space between the fullback and the centre back, allowing like Johnson or Taylor or whoever was on the flank to just pivot the ball into the middle and get it a wee give and go to get it back down the wing or to the inside of them so that the fullback could overlap or underlap. It was just a joy to watch. And every time they pushed forward, if we surrendered possession, Callum McGregor was there just to tidy it all up and get the ball back into circulation and just go again at them. I thought it was a phenomenal game of football to watch. The only sort of criticism I have of the first half was the chances we missed. Like we should have went in at halftime 3 or 4-0 up, easy. Like we were just all over them after. Like I say, 10 minutes it was nip and tat. It was both teams having a go at each other. But after that, that midfield just pressed them, like, you know what I mean, and just pressed the life out of them, and we just strangled the game from them. They couldn't get out and they couldn't get a breather, and it was just a joy to watch.
And Jared, you got anything to
add? Well, Andrew Glay is still watching the game, so I'm going to say it was both teams were really good, and I don't know what the score is, but no, it's like game's over, Andrew. Spoiler alert. I thought the first half we weren't as good as in the second half. I think we were kind of feeling them out. I think we were trying to draw them out. There was a lot of passes back to the fullbacks, and I think from memory, we had a lot more possession in the first half, and then they got a bit more possession in the second half. But they just kind of sat back a little bit more in that first half. And we controlled the ball really well. As soon as we lost the ball, you could see 4 people swarming and cutting off passing lanes and like just shutting it down, getting the ball back, going back up the field. But yeah, like Willie said, it's just that if we had a little time, like just a little bit better finishing, it could have been a lot more. But yeah, I think we dominated possession. I think we were expecting them to come out a little bit more, and we're kind of trying to drag them out, and they didn't. But then look what happens in the second half. We kind of stuck to our game plan. They came out a little bit more, and we'll get to that when you talk about the second half.
Yeah, so Robert Gibson was saying we could have been 4 up at half time, and as you were saying, guys, 100% agree with that. There was some chances there, like there was a Kyogo one, it was a good save by the keeper. There was another one early on that we missed as well. So, yeah, with the chances we had, it was like there was one point I'm looking at it and we hadn't scored yet, and it was 7 shots for Celtic, 4 on target, them 2 shots, 1 on target. So it showed that we were on top, had the run of play. Then we got our first score, and for me, I just look at it and go, "All right, we're just hanging in there going, we need that second, we need that second." And that was the talk at halftime. We're all thinking, "Oh yeah, we've got to get that second goal. Just we can't be wasteful like this, and then leave ourselves open to be hit on a counter or on a set piece or something like that." So yeah, it was a overall it was an interesting one. We got through it though, and I just found it really strange that we actually went from the level that we're playing in the first half I thought was amazing, and there was still room to go to another level in the second half, which we'll get to. But just the first half in general. Willie, what was your thoughts on the goal?
Yeah, it was a well worked goal. Engels' dead ball delivery seems to be phenomenal. I mean, we used to have Matt O'Reilly going out there taking all the corners, and he never used to miss with him. You know what I mean? But Engels seems to just be the same. You know what I mean? Just that balls just go in and they're into dangerous areas where people can attack them. The keeper's afraid to go near it because if he comes, he's in no man's land and the goal's wide open if it goes beyond him. But the way Scales just drifted across the zones, Slovan came out with a zonal marking system, and Scales just stood by his man in the centre spot and just drifted across the zones as the ball came in and met it absolutely perfectly with a header. Like there was just no chance for the keeper. It's a really well worked goal. And it's not often you see goals from corners in this day and age, but there's one there, first goal directly in there.
It's pretty rare when we score a goal from a corner and a penalty in the same game. So that was the thing. But the best thing about that goal for me was after the match, there was an interview with Peter Schmeichel, and he's just like going, "Oh, I haven't seen the goals, but he's keeping an eye on the text thing." And they go, "You want to see the goals?" He goes, "Yeah." And then the replay of that first goal, the cross coming in, Scales getting his head on it, and Schmeichel's response, the first thing he said was, "What a cross! What a finish!" He was just so impressed by the positioning of that ball, like how dangerous it is into the box. So yeah, it was. I thought the goal was pretty good there. Jared, it's your mate Scales who scored. So you got anything you wanna touch on about it?
I was going to say I should probably touch on Scales because Dan's not here, so someone's got to. But like that header was like it was brilliant. Like we had a header before with Maida, and good work. He got it on target, but it went straight into the keeper's hands. And then, like, I don't know how he got so much power behind it. It went through his hands, hit him on the shoulder, and knocked the guy back. It was like something from when I used to watch cartoons when I was younger and Dragon Ball Z. Like the ball knocked the keeper on his ass and hit the top of the net. Like that's like I think that's the second one of those sorts of goals we've seen Scales do. Like he's got a pretty powerful header, and also solid the whole game. So let's give Scales some props since Dan's not here to blow him up. But yeah, I can't fault Scales like in this game. Like a lot of the times, sometimes like in defense, I get a little bit scared. In the last few games, I haven't had that with him. I don't know why. He just looks solid. And then when he's scoring goals like that as well, I think that kind of changed the game for us as well. Going into halftime, it's a lot better with 1-0 than 0-0.
The thing with Scales as well is I think he simplified his game defensively, and that's just allowing him to just relax more. And then when he goes and scores like he did, it's just I don't know. He's got a good header on him. He does. You see it defensively, you see it now in attack, and for me, I think he's improved so much, and I'm putting that down to a combination of he's used to the guys he's playing alongside week in week out. Like that backline's been together for a couple of years, like the best part of a couple of years now. Scales was the newbie in it last year. So you had Johnson, Taylor, Carter Vickers the year before with Starfelt. Starfelt goes out, Scales comes in, spends last year doing that. He's cut it and he's learned. He got all sorts of pelters last year. If he was shit, he was shit. If he was good, he was good. We gave him credit. And when he did well on here, we gave him a hard time if he did poorly. So we call it pretty straight on this podcast. But the thing with Scales, what I'm noticing is he seems to have relaxed a bit. Like, okay, I know what Carter Vickers is going to do in this situation. I know where Taylor should be and what he's going to do and what his like tendencies are. I know when Johnson's up, if Carter Vickers has to jump across, then I have to shift, and then we have coverage from Calmac in the middle or whatever. So he knows the rotations. He knows what he needs to do. So he's cut out some of the things like some of the back passes, going for a run into the middle of the field. He doesn't really do that as often as he used to. He's just getting the ball and moving it, and he's simplified his game. And I've got to give credit where it's due. He's just become probably so far this season, in my opinion, he's probably our best defender. So there you go. That's one we'll wax on about now. I'll give him his flowers today because Dan's not here to do it. But yeah, and we'll get into the second half. So Jared, do you want to give us a general chat about the second half?
Well, the second half, we went in, we realized Kyogo doesn't remember how to shoot. So Kun took it on himself and thought, screw it, I'm going to the byline. Kyogo's standing there, I'm just going to kick it off of him. And that's how we got that second goal. So Kyogo got the goal, but he didn't have to do anything because Kun just kicked it off of him. But hopefully that gives Kyogo a little bit more confidence going forward because, yeah, he didn't have a great first half. His movement's been great, but, yeah, just his finishing, not very good.
On that, can I quickly jump in? One of the guys from Axom, is trying to get the hashtag going, Kyogo Nads, because he's saying that Kun just kicked it straight and his nads off his dick, basically. So, yeah.
Oh, right. I thought it hit in the chest, but
looked like it copped him square in the cock, basically.
I don't really care where it hit him as long as it wasn't in the hand and it went in the back of the net.
There we go. Robert's saying something. There we go. But yeah, back to what you were saying.
But like to me, that's where the game completely changed. I mean, it happened very quick in the second half, and then once that happened, it just felt like they died. They started coming out more, which was great for us. But they were decent in attack when they were coming out. But then their defense just went to absolute crap, which I watched Hamish done an interview with a guy who watches Bratislava, blah, 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 whoever we beat. And he said their defense is old and slow, and they don't have a lot of backup outside of their starting stars. And then we saw that, and that was probably why they were sort of protecting them in that first half. But then once they got down a couple of scores and they came out, like, our fast breaks, like we could have punished them a lot more in a lot of those fast breaks as well, just with some like late minute decisions, bad passes. But yeah, I think after that second goal, I think we just started to dominate all over the field. The only like negative really is not keeping the clean sheet. And that wasn't because they were great. It was a couple of, and it wasn't because we were bad either. It was just a couple of just unlucky. Like
your dog just fell off the couch.
Carter Vickers tried to. Oh, yeah. That's all right. She'll be fine. Like Carter Vickers, bad header. Then it came to Taylor. Instead of taking it, he decides to try and boot it. And yeah, like to me, that was like the only real negative was not having that clean sheet. But it wasn't really because they were fantastic. They were decent going forward, but our defense, I can't even concentrate with you guys laughing. What game are we talking about?
Come on, Jared. This is the most laughter you've seen in your life, and you're a stand-up comedian. Just get on with it. There we go.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, mate,
I think my screen froze. I think it was,
Is your dog okay?
yeah, she's fine. She's ran out. Actually, where is she?
She fell off the couch.
Remy. No, she's here.
Oh, there you go. Good. That's
She
good.
was in the kitchen.
Fair enough. As long
Look.
as she's okay, that's the main thing. There we go.
They're
No
eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Don't eat the
No
dog.
dogs were injured in the making of this podcast. There we go. Yeah, but you're right there, Jared. Like that goal that we conceded, it was just a unlucky thing from Taylor, just trying to clear it and come off the wrong side of his foot and went back into the box. So yeah, there's not really much you can do there, but yeah, but if you get away with that in Scotland. That's the thing. That clearance you get away with in Scotland. In the Champions League, you mishit it, it goes to someone who can absolutely put the laces through it. So yeah, other than that, I was like, I didn't really have too much to complain about. I thought it was an interesting one overall. Willie, you got anything you wanted to add?
Nah, watching Taylor, he swung his right foot at it, and obviously he's left footed, so his right foot might just be for standing. I've never seen him use it before. And to be fair to Wimmer, it is an absolute cracker of a finish. Right? He's hit it with the outside of his left and just sliced it in above the keeper, over Carter Vickers' head. It's just an absolute peach of a finish. I'm pretty sure if you ask Schmeichel if he's going to concede a goal, he'd rather concede something like that than a silly tap in any day of the week. Like so.
Yep, 100%. So yeah, I think Schmeichel looked mad that he conceded, right? But credit where it's due. It was a fair finish. And at the time, I was like, was that an own goal for CCV? Because it looked like the way the ball was spinning was one way, and then it brushed his head and then spun the other way, but it didn't change the angle that was going in on. It was going in anyway. So, yeah, it was overall, it's a fair finish from them. But we'll get on the old the talk about the goals, that we scored. So, Kyogo's goal, as we touched on earlier on, we've already spoken about that. I had the unfortunate thing of it was half time, and I'm like, oh yeah. And then I was watching Dax on the halftime, and then next thing I know, I come in here, sit down, the ball's already in the net, and I'm like, shit. Had to watch the replay. So it was good fun. Then you've got the Engels goal, so from the penalty. What was your thoughts on that, Willie? Was it a clear pen or?
I don't know. I thought it was quite soft, actually. I think two of them had high feet. It's obviously given for high feet, dangerous play, whatever. But his feet kicks off the bottom of Alistair Johnson. So Alistair Johnson's feet are all equally in as high a position. It's a soft penalty for me. We got it. It's not often we get the soft ones. So we'll take it any day of the week. But it was well taken. Another absolutely cool as a cucumber penalty from Engels.
Hey, Remy's making a good point here, okay?
He's agreeing with me.
Yeah, agreeing. Jared, what do you think about the penalty?
I think it was good because I was about to start yelling, and I'm sorry to people in the comments who love Kyogo. Kyogo took a really bad shot leading up to that penalty where he could have just cut it back to someone who was wide open in the mid, like standing on the penalty spot. And it bounced back, went to Alistair Johnson. And I'm glad we got the penalty. Like, he did kick him in the underside of his foot, so I don't know, flip a coin. Wearing green and white, yeah, it's a penalty. If you're wearing blue, probably it's not. But right now, it was a penalty, so that's what it is. And the refereeing was pretty good. I'm glad Engels stepped up again, took the penalty, like big pressure. I don't think has anyone told him that there's pressure taking penalties in these games, because I don't think he knows. Like he looked calm as a cucumber taking that, and it looked better than his first penalty.
Yeah, he just looked like he just stepped up and was like, yeah, nothing to worry about here. He's I scored the penalty in the last game. We're good as gold. So yeah, it was an interesting one. But yeah, the penalty was for me, it was soft. No matter, but because we got our foot to it first, it's a penalty. So letter of the law, clear penalty. If it was the other way around, I'd be dirty we conceded it, but it's still a penalty. So I was happy with that. Then we spoke about their goal already. Then Maeda, cracking finish. That was a nice bit of link-up play leading up to that. What was your thoughts on that goal, Willie?
Goal made in Japan. Kyogo dropped deep to pick up possession. He just slid it across the centre to Hatate, who stabbed it forward in a nice wee through ball, and Maeda ran onto it and bang, 4-0. Great goal, like cracking. Just back to front play, straight out from the defence out. Like I say, Kyogo drops deep, picks it up, and the rest is history. Maeda at his best.
What are you thinking, Jared? Anything to add on that?
I just think Maeda was like timed that run absolutely perfect. Like, I don't think you could have got a Kyogo penis in between that white line and Maeda. So yeah, like it was great build-up play. Rio had to like really dive to get that ball to get it into position, and Maeda just like perfectly held his run until got that tap in, and yeah, like it was a good finish, but like just the build up to it just overshadows the finish. I think great timing.
The thing with that cracking goal, well built up. I'm getting the vibe this season that Hatate is getting the scales treatment of last season, where if he doesn't do something amazing, he's pish, get him on the bench, bring Bernardo on. So him getting that assist in that situation was a good one to get people off his back. That's if you believe what you see on Twitter, right? For me, we've got plenty of good options in the midfield, so I don't have that concern at all. What I liked most about that goal, though, was when they went to the VAR to check it, and we didn't have those two squiggly lines. It was the actual good VAR where it was like, here's his foot line, he's behind, onside, bang, get on with it. So yeah, it's a I really liked that. And then the last thing
Oh, it's
was
the automated one, wasn't it?
yeah, it was really quick. It's a really quick check.
Speed it works at,
yeah. Yeah, so that's a great setup. And then you've got Adamita scoring his first Celtic goal as a permanent player for the club. That's how they sold it. So another good finish. Loved seeing that. The change of striker there, like Kyogo needed to come off anyway towards the end of the game, making some subs, bring some guys on. It's good to see Ida coming in and making an impact again. So
was that Forrest that put the ball through for him? Is that Forrest's assist?
Sure was. Yep.
Yeah, that was a really good pass. Yeah.
It was actually straight between the centre half and the fullback, just weighted perfectly into the path of Ida. Just
great
ball.
team goal. Great team goal. And the thing that I loved on that is for a country that's not playing well internationally, Ireland had 2 goal scorers in a Champions League game. I just thought I'd share that random fact with you all in Scales and Ida. Saw people banging on about that online, and I'm like, there you go. So, yeah, it's overall thought it was a quality game. Any controversial moments that jump out to you? For me, normally it's about VAR or the referee. I actually thought this referee was good, and he's consistent the way he was, when to play on, when to call things back. Thought he was a little trigger happy on the yellows in the first half, but then in the second half, I thought they would get someone sent off. Didn't happen, but hey, I thought the ref did great. I didn't think there was too much controversy. The only thing I wanted to bring up is, if I can find the picture didn't upload. The only controversial moment for me is why people putting holes in the back of their socks for, I can't stand that. It just annoys me. There you go. Everyone's clutching at straws. Any moments, boys?
Yeah, nothing
Controversial.
for me.
No.
I'm trying to get another picture up here for you. Moment of the game. Okay, so we normally would do our player focus. I think we pretty much spoke about most players anyway. Yeah, so do you want to? Is there one player that you want to talk about each, or do you want to just go for a moment of the game, something that stood out to you? How do you want to do this, boys?
I'll just go in and say that Engels was absolutely sensational. He was everywhere. He was present he was at the heart of everything, and it was beautiful to watch. He's paid back his money, transfer fee, pretty much over the last two games, especially this one. He was just instrumental in everything we did positively throughout the game. So 9 out of 10 for Engels for me. Absolutely sensational.
Jared, you got any player you want to give some focus to?
I wanted Engels. I
Then
was trying to think of moments and players. I was like, Engels is the player that I would have focused, but I won't now. Moments, I was like, it's kind of hard to pick moments because there was so many like really good moments. So I'm going to go with our wingers. Like no matter what happened, our wingers were just like not just going forward either. I'm talking like they were coming back and defending and stealing the ball off people, and then passing it to our fullbacks going forward as they were stealing the ball. Like they were up and down the field, pressing non-stop, getting to the byline, cutting it back. Like I think our wing play was phenomenal in this game. Yeah, and like all over, our pressing was great, but yeah, especially I think with the wingers, Maida and Kun, and then even when Forrest came on, had an assist. So I think that was a big highlight for me. I think we could have done better as well on the wings if they came out a little bit earlier. I think with the pace we had, we could have. I think that's what they were scared of. But yeah.
Yeah, with the pressing, right? What I found, Pete McGee's saying it here. The whole team were excellent. Our pressing was unreal. We must be one of the fittest teams in Europe, and that's pretty much ties on what I was going to say. Our pressing was ridiculous because normally teams will press when the ball goes to the wing. We're pressing blindside all the time. So if the guy's getting the ball and he's turning to the sideline, we're not just pressing him there. We're trying to then turn him back, and we've got someone coming in behind him on the press. If someone's coming middle, we're doing the same thing on the outside. So we're pressing blindside. So we had 3-4 guys harassing the guy on the ball, and we weren't just so we had 3 guys basically turning him and doing that, and then we had a 4th guy coming through to just intercept the pass off that. The level of fitness and faith in your teammates' ability that they're going to do their job so I can go and do my job is amazing. And then that ties back into Max UK's comment here. So it was a good result now. The Brendan and Roger Ball, maybe now we'll find Brendan and Roger Ball will finally get the credit he deserves. Like, yeah, it was the pressing was amazing. Smell the glove is saying I thought Days and Mater was going to press their dugout at one point. Andrew's still watching the game at the moment. He goes, I'm watching it 88 minutes and Mater is still going at him. Yeah, so it's just the press overall was just crazy. Like the levels of fitness and the level of commitment and knowing that everyone is going to do the job. Like that's what I want to give credit on. But what we'll do is I'm going to bring up one of these dirty red top magazines, right? For a second. And we'll go through their player ratings for each of our players. And we'll say if we agree with it, if we think it's fine. And then we'll go through who our man of the match was. So, oops, if I go to the right one, there we go. What do we got here? Kasper Schmeichel, they've given him a 6. I'm happy with that. Had a couple of saves to make, didn't have much else to do. So, he could have got the deck chair out and just sat in goals, cooking some marshmallows on the fire pit just next to the goals if he wanted to. It was pretty chilled out night for him. Alistair Johnson, they've given him an 8. What do you guys reckon? That sound about
I
right?
agree with that. That's what I've got. I bombed up and down all night. Constant threat for them. Like getting a good relationship going with Kuhn as well. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, 8 for me.
Carter Vickers got an 8.
Yep.
Scales got an 8.
Mm-hmm.
And
got
Taylor
8.2.
and Taylor got a 6.
What?
I
Yeah.
gave him a 7, right?
Oh,
I don't
I
think
think
he
Taylor
was
was just
that
as
far.
good as everyone else. Just
Yeah.
had that one mistake.
Yeah. And they've dropped him 2 points on everyone.
Mhm.
It's ridiculous.
He was the one that put that perfect cross into Maeda, wide open. If Maeda had got onto the end and actually didn't hit it straight at the keeper, that would be an assist. Would that have changed it?
A meter
'Cause
either way.
It wouldn't have changed anything. Yeah. Yeah. So that doesn't change anything about what Taylor did. His pass was pinpoint. I think Taylor was phenomenal. I wouldn't give him anything less than what AJ got. That's
So Pete
disgraceful.
Pete McGee is saying CCV was never an 8 if AJ and Scales were an 8. So realistically, then what you're saying, Pete, is AJ and Scales were an 8, CCV was a 7.5, and Taylor was a 7.5 then. That's the way I look at it. But I thought the whole back line. Cullen McGregor got an 8.
9.
Oh, go Willie.
No, listen, Callum McGregor, there was large periods of the game we didn't notice Callum McGregor doing what he was doing. That's how good he was. Yeah. He was just, like I said right at the start of the show, every time we pressed and we lost possession, we counter-pressed him. We won. Like, he was one of the key components of the counter-pressing, picking up that ball and recycling it back in. Is there somewhere forward we can play it? No, I'll play it back to CCV or Scales, and then we'll try and start another attack. Or when the defence had the ball, he was always there, willing and showing for it. He was instrumental in that. I thought he was absolutely superb. So it's a 9 for me. All 3 of them in the middle of the pitch.
8.2 for me.
There we go. So Boss was a number 2. Yep, definitely was because he was shit. Pete McGee, Kelmac was a stealth fighter. He was the guy that I was talking about. You know, the 4th person in the press coming through to get the intercept? That was Kelmac.
What he's doing is knitting attack and defence together seamlessly.
Yeah. Arna Engels, they gave him a 9.
Yep.
Rio Hatate got an 8.
7.
A 9.
Oh, wow. Fight, you two.
Listen, that 3 in the middle of the pitch were just phenomenal. The way they pressed, the way they moved the ball around, allowing the fullbacks, like I said earlier, they allowed the fullbacks to overlap, underlap, always been available when play was going down the wing, and when the play was going down the middle, they were interchanging with each other. It was beautiful. It was a masterclass. It was a joy to watch. A 9 for all 3 of them for me.
I think they were good. I just think Hatate was the most inconsistent.
Nicholas Kuhn and
riling up Andrew.
Nicholas Kuhn, 2.
Nicholas Kuhn got an 8. Jason Maeda got an 8. I think they probably both could have been pushing anywhere from an 8 to a 9.
I've got them both at an 8. Like.
The work rate
I'd put them both at 8.
Kyogo, they gave him a 6. They're saying 2 chances, but he, standard for. They're saying by his standards, poor finishing.
I'd give him a 7, same as Hatate. Like, he done everything else right. It was just but although he is a striker, he's meant to be scoring goals, but he still, like, his movement made everyone else a little bit better. His movement was what got him the goal that he got. He just was a little bit off with his finishing, but a little bit inconsistent. But yeah, I'd give him a 7.
I've got a 7.5 for him. Like, I thought he got himself into great positions several times. His movement, his movement just puts the fear of death into defenders that are slow and immobile, like the Slovan players were. Yeah, he should have had a hat trick, to be honest. I mean, that save from the keeper's leg in the first half was a really top drawer save, just getting it out and making himself big. And he was unlucky there. He got his goal. He could have had a couple more. For me, it's a 7.5 pushing an 8.
So Pete, you're saying Kyogo was 6, behave your clowns. Yep, that's why it's a red top.
Yeah.
I feel dirty reading this, but I thought I had to because it's just funny. And then the substitutes, they gave James Forrest a 6, Tony Ralston a 4, Adam Eder a 6, Bernardo a 4, and Trusty a 3. Trusty, I can understand. Bernardo, because they didn't get much game time. Ralston, he didn't do anything wrong to get a 4, just wasn't on long enough. Eder and Forrest, Lincoln for that goal. 6 is justifiable, but yeah, all the starters, no one should have been under a 7.
Yeah.
So, as Jerry's saying, Brendan Rodgers, give him a 9. Yep, will do. So, who was your man of the match, Willie?
Engels. Without a doubt, Engels, like I say, he was at the heart of everything. He was everywhere all at one time, too. There was times when you just say, hang on a second here, you were out there a minute ago. How did you get the other side of the pitch? He just effortlessly moves around that pitch, and he just, it's so far so good. And I'm just excited to see what this boy can produce. He's only 21 years old, too. You know what I mean? He's got the brain of somebody who's been playing this game for years and years and years. Yeah, Engels for me.
So on that, Willie, Arne Engels is only the second Celtic player to score an assist in a Champions League game for Celtic, along with Henrik Larsson against Juventus in 2001. So there you go. It's an interesting little stat for you. My man of the match.
It was a corner and a penalty.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, my man of the match takes a good selfie. That's all I've got to say. And Jared, who was your man of the match?
Arnie Engels. It might have been a corner and a penalty, but it was a great corner and it was a great penalty. And he might not have scored, but he had a couple of really good shots. Even the last couple he's played two and a quarter games. He's had some shots that are he's just warming up. He's going to start putting them in the back of the net very soon. I can't believe he's played as well as he is. In 2 and a quarter games, he's where Matt O'Reilly was, 2 years in.
He's winning at all his defensive duels, all that sort of things. He's high up there in his stats for him, man. And it is testament that 4 weeks ago, we're all sitting here saying, look, Matt O'Reilly's away. He is going to leave a massive hole in this team. How are we going to replace him? And we're sitting here right now. Are we missing Matt O'Reilly?
No.
Not really. And it's sad. Sorry, Matt. You're sitting there probably on the treatment table wondering, how did it all go so wrong? But we're not missing him.
No, we're even going, let's bring on Bernardo.
Yeah.
So as Robert Gibson said here, Augsburg were nuts to let Engels leave.
Yeah.
For that amount, yeah.
Yep. So a couple others I wanted to touch on for man of the match sort of thing, right? And I know it's gonna sound really weird. Whoever the photographer was who got this picture, well done. That is class. Good photo. And
Do you think Vladimir Weiss Senior is whispering, "Get up, you're embarrassing me, son"?
Yep.
He whispered it.
And the other thing is just everyone who was at the game putting that atmosphere together. That is what a proper football club is about. A club like Celtic, the fans, the players on the pitch, the emotion in the game. As I said, you could feel the moment through the TV, and it just makes me proud to be a Celtic fan. Knowing all you good people over there doing that. Yeah, it was just amazing overall. So, yeah.
And we played 90 minutes. That's one thing I was worried about. How many times have we, had a first half like that and then came out and was like, okay, we're going to have a 20-minute dip. I felt like we actually played a full 90 minutes, which I was very happy about.
Oh, well, that's what
Sorry, Jared,
we touched
continue.
on that's what we touched on the first half, was like we played great, but somehow we went to another level in the second half. We played at the same level that we had in the first half the whole game. I would have been absolutely like ecstatic with it, and somehow we've gone to another level. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because it was just Slovan Bratislava. Let's be honest, the team that's on top of, you know, their league and everything back home. But yeah, it's a start. When do we go and play in the Champions League, let alone like in Europe, let alone the Champions League, and put 5 goals past the team and smack someone? It's been a long time, so I'm going to enjoy this. As Big Dom saying, played much better in the second half.
Yeah, that second goal, and they had to step out and try and go at us. And as soon as they stepped out, they left space in behind, and that was it. We just didn't let go. And it was like a dog with a bone. We just kept going.
Yep, 100%. So, yeah, what we're going to do is got a bit of a question for you, and it's based off the next topic. So, I just wanted to quickly touch on Celtic financial reports that came out last week or during the last week. The club made a profit of 17.8 million for the year, and that we have a total of 77.2 million in the bank. That's what it was after last financial year. Now, on top of that, there's going to be this year's Champions League money still to go into it. There's going to be the Matt O'Reilly money going into that, right? So Big Dom has just taken the question out of my mouth here. Has the board got the message about quality over quantity? Like, for me, what I was going to ask is, seeing the performance levels in the Champions League of a guy like Arnie Engels, do you think that our board is now going to see that, like, if we buy better players, we are able to compete at a Champions League level on a more consistent basis? Do you think there's going to be that sort of message coming through? So Big Dom has said spend 10 to 12 million on quality players instead of 1.5 on dross. Brendan's mentioned that more quality arriving in January, and RL77 was saying come January transfer window, a couple more Engels level players. Do you think this is what we're going to start to see more going forward? Have a smaller squad like what Brendan's managed to do over the off-season, over the last transfer window, and have guys who can come in and actually be players at that level? Do you think we're going to start to get that, Jared? What do you think?
I think we're going to get a bit of both. I think now that we've got this team, the funny thing is everyone says we weren't good enough, but you look at the team that has started this season that everyone is raving about, it's the same as last season, and most of our new players are on the bench. So we got depth who, like, it's a bit early. We know we got Engels who's coming in as a starter. The other guys, are they just there for depth or are they there to compete and get into the squad? Either way, we're looking phenomenal. So coming into January window, like, whereas before we were like, we need this, we need 5, 7, 10 players. Like right now, I'm just like, we need maybe one player that can fight for a starting position. And then 3 or 4, like, we can actually get like projects who could be like Matt O'Reilly's that we could get a little bit cheaper and build. Because everyone's going to be fighting for game time now. So yeah, I think there's going to be a little bit of both. We could get someone that's actually going to be a decent wage, and I think it should probably be like a winger, which I think was the one position that we kind of missed out on. And then yeah, like a few prospects, but like decent prospects, not shitty. Like Liam Shaw, is that his name?
Yep, sure is. Terrible. How did I do that? Made a pun without meaning to. Disgusting. Anyway, yeah, so I agree with you. I don't think we're gonna get absolutely mental, get a bunch of like 11 million pound players. But as you're saying, Jared, I'm thinking it will be, I've always said we want to have that production line. So we've got the starting level players for the Champions League. So we need to have those guys nipping at their heels, challenging them for their jersey. So if you have a look, you've got Kun on the right, you've got Jamesy Forrest nipping at his heels. Those two are both in good form. You look on the left, you've got Maeda. Who do you have behind him? Palmer's not cutting it. So do we need to get someone there to
Forrest.
challenge that position?
Mm.
Forrest is covering both at the moment, right?
Yeah.
So Yang's not going to cut it. Palmer's not cutting it. So that's an issue. That's a position. Then the only other position I can see in the squad potentially is we've got Taylor. He's out of contract at the end of the season. So we still need to see what Vaya is like playing that left back. If he comes in and does well, there's a £3 million release clause in his contract. We could just buy him and bring him in, and he could be that backup for whoever is there. Otherwise, we've got Anderson on loan again over in Austria to have someone there. So it's who's going to be that production line position. And then the next option after that I look at is who is going to be the third striker. They're the only three positions that I can see at the moment that really need addressing. We've got the goalkeeper production line sorted because we've got Kasper Schmeichel and we've got Sinisalo backing him up. So it's pretty much that's the state of the team. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But what are your thoughts, Willie?
For me,
Oh, go
On you
No,
go, Jared.
I was going to say, for me right now, the most important is not losing players, not who we're going to get in, but like let's give pay increases, extensions, and keep what we've actually got rather than trying to bring the unknown.
Yeah.
Sorry.
100%.
I was going to say that's another thing the board will be looking at and be talking to Brendan Rodgers about. They'll be turning around and saying that we've had a nibble on Alistair Johnson. There's a few teams in England that are interested in him. Would you be interested in selling him? What sort of price would you be looking for? And here's several options to replace him. That's sort of discussions that will go on in the background. But I really do hope the board have their eyes wide open and look at the quality, the outlay for the quality you're getting ratio that they have with Engels. They've laid out 11 million and look at the quality you're getting for that money. You know what I mean? No more of this, right? Here's 2.5 million for a loan for Nat Phillips for a season and stuff like that. Let's just go out there. Whoever has earmarked Kuhn, whoever scouted Engels, whoever's doing this scouting across Central Europe, he obviously knows his stuff. Make sure he gets a pay rise next to, because if he's identifying players of that quality and that caliber that we can go out and sign, then he needs to stay at us club as well. Like, but for me, if we're going to be looking at positions, it would be left back and another striker, and then that would be the two positions that maybe you'll go for in January. But there's no massive overhauls, as you say, Gerard. There's no massive overhauls needed anymore. It's one or two players. And if you look at how healthy our bank balance is, there's no reason why that one or two players that we need can't be 10, 15 million pound players.
As Michael Ross says, imagine adding 2 or 3 Engels type player signings could really go places. Yeah, 100% there. So it's going to be an interesting setup to see what happens. So the next thing we want to carry on to is the weekend's game against Falkirk on Sunday at home in the League Cup. So I have my usual questions that we would go through pretty quickly, but I'm going to start with this one. How much squad rotation are you expecting to see in this game after playing a Champions League game midweek, Willie?
I'm just counting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think 7 changes, maybe, possibly, potentially.
What do you think, Jared? We'll name names later on when we do our.
Off the top, I'd be going more than half. I'll save time and just go 7, same as Willie. But yeah, over half. I've got a kind of idea in my head, but I don't want to waste time going through it.
Fair enough. So, what are your general thoughts heading into the game? For me, it's all about keeping up our standards. Even if we do make a wholesale changes, it's about guys coming into the squad and keeping the standards up, keeping the performance levels up, and playing the quality of football that we are playing and getting the job done. getting the win and moving on to the next round of the cup. So what do you think, Willie? What's your thoughts and what's the key areas of focus for us to win the game?
Listen, I expect a very, very big double-decker bus to be parked on match day. They're going to play a 5-3-2 or a 4-5-1. They're just going to park the bus, try and frustrate us for as long as they can, and maybe sneak a goal later on in the game. But John McGlynn's men, they're coming in. They've got one defeat in the Petrol Tank Cup since last season. They went undefeated last season, had an invincible season, and they're top of the championship. But I just think even with the changes we're about to ring out, I think we'll just be a comfortable win, and we'll see them off.
And Jared, so if you were the manager, we're just talking about how many changes you'd make. What changes would you make to the squad? And what's your expected lineup?
I want to see what the new players are going to do, but you want to kind of keep a base. So I would probably keep Scales in to start with Trusty. I think that's maybe like they had that last 10, 15 minutes. CCV, I think, is carrying a bit of an injury, so I'd put him off. I really want to see what Valle can do. Ralston can start. I don't have any issues with him starting in this game. I would probably start with Cameron McGregor. Cameron McGregor? Who the? Cal. I'd start with Calmac just because he's a captain. He's always usually started. And just to get us through, as soon as we score 2 goals, just get him off. If it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. Just like get the team sorted, be that like heart of the team. And then we've got players that can start. Like Forrest can start this game. Palma could start this game. Ida could start this game. Bernardo should definitely start this game. And you look at those, and like that's almost the starting lineup for a normal league game. Like not all at the same time, but everyone can start. So yeah, for me, I would just maybe start a couple of leaders just down that sort of spine, like Calmac and Scales. Sinisalo, I reckon, should get him in, see what he can do. For me, like selfishly, not looking at it as a manager, for me, I'm looking forward to seeing like Trusty and all of our new players that we haven't seen yet. Valle, like we haven't seen what the hell he can do yet. Like so, for me, that's what I'm most looking forward to.
On that, you mentioned about Valle. We haven't seen what he can do. I was looking at the game and I'm like, who the hell is that on our bench? And then I twigged it was him like 3 minutes later. So didn't even recognize him. So yeah, it's let's bring up some of the comments here before we go to you, Willie, on it. So Andrew Galea is saying play the subs and fringe players this weekend. McCowan is cup tied though. Robin Lau is saying this is when you need Palmer's Ralston for the Falkirk game. Be good to see Valle. Smell the glove. Definitely give Valle, Trusty, and Ida a game. Jerry Burns, Trusty, Valle, Ralston, Bernardo, Forrest, Ida, I think will start against Falkirk. So, Willie, what would you make and what would your starting lineup be?
I actually had McCowan. I didn't realise he was captain. Like, hats off to the guys in the comment section there. Like, so for me, I would have Sinisalo in goals. I think all that extra work Schmeichel had to do is take those few extra steps in his net to pick the ball out. Might have tired him out. You know what I mean? So he might need a rest. So in defence, I would have Ralston, CCV, Trusty, Valle. In midfield, I have Calmac, Bernardo, and McCowan. But if McCowan's cup tied, I would probably keep Engels in there. Forrest, Ida, and Palma. That's the front three. But I would like to see Sinisalo. I would like to see what this young boy's capable of, see if he is. And this is the sort of game where he should really get a run out in. But I don't think he will get a game, if I'm honest.
All right. So for me, Willie, I'll be going with Sinisalo in goals. I hope we get to see him, but I don't know if we're going to have a change in the keeper there. But Sinisalo, Ralston, I'll go Trusty and Scales because, CCV's been carrying an injury or whatever. And then Valley, we play him on the left. Middle of the field, as we said, Kelmack starts. We get up 2 goals or halftime, bring him off. I want to see Odin home in that number 6 role, see what he can play that role. Because maybe that's somewhere. If we've sold Awada on, we need someone who can actually back up Kelmack. So Kelmack may play 4 out of every 5 games. We need someone who can play that for the 5th game. So maybe that's home. And we can get in some games into him this year. We're going to play 60-odd games this season. So if we work it that way, he may still get 15, 20 games. So it could be an option. The rest of the way, it'd be Bernardo, and I would probably keep Engels out there just to keep the run going and get a game with Bernardo and Engels playing together, because they haven't played much together on the pitch, and build that up. Up front, Ida starts. Jamesy starts on the right. And on the left, we have Palmer, just for you, so I can see the comments next week from Robert Gibson talking about how shite Palmer is. And yeah, go from there. I think that team's still good enough to win. So
And
it could be
Palmer
an
scores.
interesting. And the score prediction, I'm going to go, we'll win 3-0, and it's going to be Palmer scores the first, Ida scores the second, Palmer scores the third, just for you, Robert. What do you think? Score predictions, boys. Willie?
I've got 4-0. I've got Ida to get a brace. I had McCowan down for a goal, so I'll go with Forrest to get one and Palmer to get the other.
I'm going to go 4-0. I'm going to go 4-0, and I think Palmer will score 2 and Ida will score 2.
Andrew was saying you're playing the Rocky and Trusty, wouldn't you? You could do that, but I'm trying to keep at least some sort of consistency or a senior player in the back line. So Scales can be the senior defender. Kelmack starting in the middle would be the senior midfielder. Jamesy Forrest is the senior forward there for us. So yeah, we'll figure it all out. So final thoughts, boys. Willie, you got a final thought for the pod?
Yeah, 10 years on since the independence referendum in Scotland, and they told us we were better together. What a fucking joke.
Jared, you got a final thought?
Don't eat cats. Don't eat dogs. Don't eat pets. I've been watching a lot of freaking YouTube on this election, and it is hilarious.
Fair enough.
Don't live in America.
My final thought is pretty simple. Make sure your dog doesn't fall off the couch again on the next pod, Jared. We kind of lost our shit too much today. So hope your dog's
I forgot what
okay.
I was talking about, just watching you.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.